On behalf of all of us, my name is Beasley, saying so long and enjoy your evening from the Calgary Flames. Right now, we've got Brandon Parker and Cory Sarich on tonight's Flames TV live post-game show.
Original 16, a great way to celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome inside Flames Postgame Live. It is brought to you now officially by Original 16. Good beer and good guests. We've got Cory Sarich back on the desk, Flames TV Live. Welcome to it. Wish it'd be under better circumstances, but this is what we got. Game 3 of the season on home ice, Game 4 overall. And what did you make of tonight and the result? We should mention it's a 6-3 loss for the Calgary Flames. Buffalo comes in here and gets the win, but yeah, what did you make of tonight?
Well, I think if you kind of remember back, it feels like a long time ago, but the start of this game actually wasn't too bad for the Calgary Flames. They came out, got the first goal, but I think that I might have almost been detrimental. It was almost like a false sense of security. They kind of let their foot off the gas. They just didn't seem to have the urgency that they needed all over the ice. It led to a lot of breakdowns in their own end. We're probably going to talk about it and hash it over a little bit more, but the slot tonight, which they've done such a great job of not allowing chances, especially over the course of last year, just the start to this year, like they allowed probably a dozen grade A chances from the middle of the slot. And you know what, we can talk about the defensive changes tonight. Obviously there was a little shuffle with Noah Hannafin out of the lineup. That might have led to a few miscues and breakdowns. But when you have that many, it's a full team breakdown. There's something not right between all the guys out on the ice. So, just kind of a disjointed night tonight. But again, still had some excitement, and there was a chance.
Sure. Yeah, I think, if you're going to look at a few different things over the last 2 nights, this team's not going to be out of too many games, and that's, you get a break at the end of the second period. And maybe let's roll the highlights in as we kind of discuss it, but, give Buffalo some credit. They came in here and pushed hard at the end of that first. I think it was just over 2 minutes after this opening goal that Andrew Mangiapane scores, which is this line kind of going to work. They had a chance earlier, and then this is one that finds the back of the net.
Nice and it looked like they were off to the races, but I have to give Buffalo credit. They did everything very well tonight. They executed. Their passes were not sloppy at the start of this game. I mean, they were putting things on. They were putting pucks tape to tape. They played with a very calm, relaxed demeanor out there. Like, I thought this might be a young, panicky team, but maybe after coming off a big win the other night up north, come down here, confidence is flowing, and again, their execution rate tonight was very impressive.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because it does. I mean, it's a young group. Obviously, I think the average age is just over 26 years of age, but guys look like they're confident right now and feeling it. And we're kind of watching. I mean, Dylan Cousins got it started, and Rasmus Dahlin picks up his 4th consecutive game with a goal, and then they just look quick, though, didn't they? I mean, they had some burst tonight.
Yeah, the speed will be something that I'm sure will be talked about in the Flames dressing room. Just they let it get away from them a little bit. I mean, there was a few bad decisions and some bad positioning that led to a few of these breakouts and breakaways, but they just were in general and all over the place. They were quick in everything, quick in their decisions, Buffalo, quick in their releases. They actually had a really great net presence, as we saw on that goal. They had some great screens, and they didn't have too much go wrong for them, but that was probably the kicker.
Yeah, that was the one that changed the tide just a little bit. And this was what I think it was 1 point, but they ended up calling it about 2 seconds left in the period. And Trevor Lewis takes advantage of that. So that at that point makes it a 4-2 game. We saw Alex Tuch at the end. He scores his first goal of the game, but then the Flames kind of used that momentum to start the third, and this kind of starts to pile up a little bit. But look at Nikita Zadorov jumping in and scoring here to make it a 1-goal game at that point.
Yeah, the goal really got the crowd into it. Yeah, things are buzzing. You can feel maybe works of a comeback coming, but it didn't last long.
No, it sure didn't. And what a finish there by Alex Tuch. I mean,
yeah,
that is a grade A toe drag right there, and a beautiful finish. That was the second of the game, and he'd add one more into the empty net as well right here to finish off his hat trick. That would kind of dispose of the Calgary Flames 6-3 the final. A few things stand out. Obviously, you had the pushback. You mentioned the momentum. There were some chances in there. But if you're a Flame, they also switched up some of the lines too at that point too. They tried to use some of that to their advantage, right?
And to add, it was maybe a little bit of undiscipline out there too, Brendan,
Sure.
right? Like a couple penalties, maybe a couple ones that you don't like, but you can't take them. Some for maybe trying to be physical and trying to turn the tides when the score was 4-1 or 5-1, but just too many overall, and it ultimately hurt them. That beauty of a goal by Alex Tuck, that was a power play finish, and man, he had some sweet patience on that finish.
Yeah, no question. And yeah, you mentioned off the top. I mean, we should mention Noah Hannafin didn't play in this game, so he sat out. Connor Mackey draws in, and because of that, they end up switching two pairings around. So Nikita Zadorov moves up, and he plays alongside Rasmus Anderson, and then it was Connor Mackey and Michael Stone playing together. But you played that possession a long time. Does it generally take a bit of time? I mean, guys played together at different points throughout training camp, but maybe a few different conversations that have to be held throughout the night.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it's not so much playing with other or a new defense partner. It's maybe more so the adjustment to just added ice time for some guys.
Sure.
I know if you're a guy that generally played, for me, my average was usually about 17 minutes, 19 minutes on the high end. And then if I was ever asked to fill in for one of our top players, top defensemen, and all of a sudden your minutes are up in the low 20s, it's amazing what a difference that can have on you as a defenseman. Like just 3 minutes here and there, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually it's just that many more shifts. It's that much less recovery.
Yeah.
And
sure.
those guys you see that log the minutes, like 26 minutes a night, some of the top leaders in the league, it's very impressive, and it's not an easy task, even though it only adds up to a few minutes difference. So that may have been a factor. The fact that you got Connor Mackey playing his first game here this year, I thought he kept it nice and simple off the start, and I don't think he really did anything bad out there. It's just that, again, this whole team, wasn't on the same page.
Well, and maybe we got Daryl Sutter coming up here in just a moment, but maybe before we do that, let's just, because you were talking about minutes, I mean, Nikita Zadorov, he had outstanding preseason, and Coach Sutter talked about trying to find ways to get him more ice time, because of the way he'd played, and tonight's one of those examples. He had some more ice time, and he was kind of all over the fingerprints of this game, for different reasons throughout the course of the night.
Yeah, and he was physical out there. We see him being physical here. And yes, this is a penalty, and this is a penalty that you don't normally want to take, but it's 4-1 there. He's trying to spark his team and get him going. We see him score a beauty goal tonight, so he really mixed in all over the place, and I think upcoming here is going to be maybe a beauty hit on the forecheck. I think he mixed one of those in, so maybe even trying to do a little bit too much, but I think that some of those things were when the score was out of hand. So you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. I thought at the start of the game he was playing within himself. I don't think he was really, there was nothing really detrimental to the team early. I thought he was handling himself well out there, but again, tonight got away, and maybe it's just the frustration setting in there that causes them to do a little more running around than normal. Yeah,
and at the end of the day, you're trying to work your way back, and so obviously you're trying to jump up at the rush too and create a little bit more, right?
Yeah, and can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
Like with Z, I think one of the biggest progressions he had, and we saw last year, was his growth in learning when to play the body. Staying at home more often, less of that running around that you probably see earlier in his career. So maybe just a few bad habits creeping in, but again, it was a tough game for everyone. Yeah,
it was kind of one of those nights for sure, and I think he ended up playing over 21 minutes here tonight. Let's, before we hear from some players in the locker room, I think Nikita might be one of those as well, one of the goal scorers. Let's hear from head coach Daryl Sutter now and his thoughts on the loss tonight.
Daryl, how do you think your defensive pairings adjusted to the new pairings?
They were all over the map. Right? I think just going back to, I think there was only two guys in the lineup, or two defensemen that were played in game 4 or 5 last year. Well, I think they struggled with it mightily.
Daryl, what was just your overall assessment of what you saw from your group tonight?
Yeah, I think first period we turned the puck over too many times. I think on our power play entering, turn the puck over, and then second period, you want to tie the period after losing the period, and then come out in the third and score, then we turn the puck over shorthanded again. Make it 5-3. So.
The thought process in going to Dan Vladar for the second period?
Because you got 2 goalies.
Is it structure that failed you, that failed the team tonight? Like
No, I think I said this morning about those. If you look at not only the turnovers but the chances and goals against, or I think that those, especially the one defenseman, that pretty dominant player for them. He's probably the best player on the ice. Some of those bigger players we didn't defend very well against up front.
And then flipping the forward lines around a little bit later on in the game, is that just to get a spark, or?
Yep. I think it did for the third period till we took the penalty and then turned the puck over.
Was this just a bit of a letdown for this group?
Yeah, you know what, this Buffalo came in here last year too and beat us. So you kind of look at how guys play against certain teams and kind of see what's coming.
What were your impressions of Connor Mackey tonight?
I can't hear you.
What were your impressions of Connor Mackey tonight?
You know, you get an opportunity, you got to take advantage of it. And everybody talked about our depth and all that this summer. Well, it got quite a bit disrupted with Oliver's situation, and then nobody stepping up in training camp other than Stoney. So these young guys like that get an opportunity, they should seize the opportunity. He's not a young player, actually. He's older than Noah and Ross.
All right, there's some thoughts from head coach Daryl Sutter and turnovers. I mean, you talked about it right off the top of the show, and that's one of the areas that stuck out with him. And obviously some good players took advantage on that side.
Yeah, and it was sloppy. Even if it wasn't a turnover at the start of the game, they struggled just in getting some jam on the puck. Like a lot of times they were just giving it back to the Buffalo Sabres in zone. Rasmus Dahlin,
Quite a night.
he took advantage. He was in the right spot at the right time on his goal. I saw him make some great neutral zone plays, and he actually defended quite well in his own end. He had some good sticks. He was trying to play the body even on that goal. So some really nice maturity from him, because I think the knock on him is, can he play solid defense? Because I think we all know he's got lots of offensive upside. Yeah. But, yeah.
Is that what it is, maturity, though? You think, like, just kind of growing in? I mean, you get a couple years under your belt?
I think 100%. It's maturity, it's situational, it's adjusting to the speed of the game, and then it's quality of the team you play on. I mean, when I first got to Tampa, I played down there on a team that, we barely won 15 games in the one season, and you can be the best defenseman in the world and you're going to have a plus minus that says minus 30 because it's a team driven stat. You're probably a contributor to it, but
it's collective.
It is collective, and sometimes the numbers don't always tell the story. So a little bit of a tough start with the makeup of the Buffalo Sabres the last couple of years, but looks like they've got a nice little adjustment going on here.
Well, and then you throw Owen Power in the mix as well. I think he had a pair of assists here tonight, but for Rasmus Dahlin, scores in 4 straight games to start the year, which is an NHL record, which we were just talking about. It's kind of surprising in some ways that at some point some of those legendary defensemen didn't have that happen. But
yeah, I was looking up just 2 days ago Paul Coffey's stats. You start sifting around, you start thinking about, like, I know Bobby Orr played in the 70s primarily, probably a little tougher scoring there, but I was just picturing it being like an 80s defenseman that would have come out of the gates hot and grabbed a few in a row.
8-6 games or something with 5 goals. All right, let's go back inside the locker room. Let's hear from Nikita Zadorov. He's standing by now.
Defense had trouble kind of adjusting to the new pairings. Is that a bit of part of the problem tonight?
No, I don't think so.
What did you think was the difference tonight?
Well, we had another shot start of the game, too many turnovers, too many odd man rushes, weren't winning any battles down low. We knew what Buffalo's going to bring, and that's what they did, but we weren't ready for it, so it's totally on us, totally unacceptable.
Big letdown from the previous 3 games where you guys were feeling a lot better about yourself.
I mean, it's tough to feel better about ourselves after the loss, there's a big and strong mindset inside the team, like we're expecting to win and go play our hockey every night, and we weren't showing up today, so it's kind of definitely wasn't our night. We just got to do homework and then prepare better for Saturday night because I think it's going to be a better, harder opponent as well.
You mentioned that you knew about the Buffalo would rain tonight, and you knew it was coming. What were the challenges in stopping it or denying it?
Well, I mean, preparation, we weren't ready. You know, like the start, it's all like how you prepare for yourself for the game. You know, like we didn't have our legs, we weren't skating. We weren't competing well enough, you know, they were more hungry than us, young group, you know, they want to prove for themselves, you know, they know who they're facing against, and it's totally on us, you know, we weren't good enough. That's simple.
When a team attacks with speed inside the defensive zone, what can you as defenders maybe do better that you didn't do tonight in stopping that?
I mean, it's all this, the system stuff you got us coaches, you know, I think from my perspective as the player, I think we weren't ready to play physically and mentally. So when you're not doing what you're supposed to do on the ice, all this tactical stuff goes on the second. But you know, we didn't win one period. We were losing battles. They were out skating us. They were coming over top of us. We didn't have enough speed. So that's how simple it is. It's totally on us.
Okay, thanks. All right, so pretty good summation there from Nikita Zadorov right off the top, and didn't mince too many words about it. And the start does kind of play a role. I know they score the first goal, but as you mentioned, more of the response after that, specifically by Buffalo, that changes it a little bit, right?
Yeah, the Buffalo just started to take over the game, and there wasn't enough response. Yeah. And yeah, Nikita pretty much hit the nail on the head there. And I like what he's saying though. Like their expectations are to play their hockey game. And, you know, you're going to have the odd night like this in the NHL, but 95% of the time, you've got to bring your own game and you've got to do what makes you successful. And they didn't do that tonight. They were too far away from it.
Yep. Well said. Let's quickly, before we head back into the locker room, let's talk about Dan Vladar. I know he comes in relief here tonight, but, you know, maybe less about what we saw tonight. Tough night to judge goaltending specifically, but more about just a guy that's come in here now his second season of pro hockey. For second season, at least in the National Hockey League now, gets a 2-year extension here today, signs it after morning skate. I'm sure buzzing all day long, but just kind of a vote of confidence in the guy, the work that he's put in, and kind of a real opportunity for him now.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a buzzkill that he's not really going to celebrate after a loss, but I'm sure he'll probably celebrate a little bit. Consummate team guy, right? He's so jovial and bubbly, and just loves the fact that he's part of the Calgary Flames, loves that he's part of the National Hockey League, and he's a competitor. And I think he's got to be a smart individual because he's absorbing a lot of what he's seeing in net from his partner in Markstrom. And you see him talking a little bit, even with trips to the bench when there are timeouts, things like that. They're encouraging each other. So seems like a pretty awesome duo, and I think this is one of those things that could be a real steal when you look back down the road for the Calgary Flames, because he's a top quality player.
Yeah, nice little 1-2 punch. I actually told our Ryan Dietrich, CalgaryFlames.com, in the hallway after I think it was just before he signed the deal, or at least around when he signed the deal, that he had to think about it for all of 12 seconds. And so needless to say, he was pretty excited to sign the deal.
And it's always great to see those guys that put in the work and just go about their business. You know, he accepts his role and he knows exactly who he is at this point in his career. And you like to see those guys get rewarded as a teammate.
Well said. And credit to Jordan Siglet, director of goaltending, and of course Jason LaBarbera as well. Done some good work there, and congrats to Dan Vladar. Let's go back inside the Flames locker room and hear from Nazem Kadri's.
Just seemed to think that you guys weren't ready to play. Is that the way you looked at it too?
Yeah, it was a tough start for sure. That was pretty obvious, and you know, just gave up a little too much, a little more than what we wanted to, and that's not up to our standards. But we're going to turn the page and be better.
What were you missing tonight that you guys need to have as part of your game on a regular basis?
I think typically, defensively, I think we're pretty good, and just gave up too many quality opportunities. I think not a ton of shots early on, but when there were chances, they were good ones. So we got to do a little better of a job protecting the middle of the ice, and we will do that.
You knew they were a young, fast team that wanted to kind of come in here and have the same type of success they did against Edmonton. And knowing that, what were they able to do that maybe made you not able to prevent it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you got to give them credit. They played a great game, and they responded well. we got one early in the third period, and obviously they responded with a goal. So you got to tip your cap, but I think it was a little too easy for them, breaking through the neutral zone tonight, and that seemed to be a bit of an issue with us. They're obviously a pretty high skilled, fast team, and we're going to do a better job at that.
Was speed an issue for you, or that wasn't as big a factor as it at times?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we our gaps weren't great, and that's forwards and D. That's on everybody because we got to move as 5-man units, and we were getting outnumbered in certain areas of the ice. But that being said, you learn from it, and you get better next year.
How was it adjusting to some of the lineup changes partway through the game that Darryl was putting in?
I don't think it matters really. Everyone seems to connect pretty well with each other. I think at that point in the game, you're just looking for a spark and trying to get something going. So I think we did some great things offensively, but defensively we got to be way better.
When you've won 3 in a row to start, does it make it easier to throw a game like tonight out?
Not really. I mean, I think as competitive guys, you want to be in here. You want to put your best foot forward every single night, and build your identity. So I don't think we're going to have an issue doing that. But tonight we struggled a little bit.
Is it frustrating to go through a loss like this against a team that's developing, knowing that you've had 3 wins against contending teams?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's silver lining, I guess. But like I said, I mean, you don't want to think too far back or too far forward. You want to live in the moment. And the fact of the matter is, we have to be better, and we will be better.
Okay, thanks, Nas.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Original 16, a great way to celebrate things done well.
Crisp, cold one here post-game, and welcome back inside Flames post-game live, brought to you by Original 16, Brendan Parker and Cory Sarich alongside as we put a bow on this 6-3 loss at the hands of the Buffalo Sabres here tonight. And really not much more you can say. I think you kind of mentioned that Nazem Kadri kind of summed it up well there, just about some of the gaps and things like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't just because there's a defenseman missing, pairs are shuffled. It's not the D-men.
Yeah.
It's everybody out there. There's just too much separation between the forwards and the defensemen. And again, last year it's something that I talked about at the start of the year all the time was them playing and moving up and down the ice as a 5-man unit. Your gaps everywhere, like when the forwards rush with the pucks, defensemen are joining with them.
Yeah.
And when defensemen are defending, you've got a fantastic back check. So you always see 5 in the picture when you're watching it on TV, and we didn't see that tonight.
Yeah, no, it paints a good picture. I'm sure Coach Sarich uses that all the time, right, for the young guys?
Yeah, probably stole it off of someone, but yeah.
That's how it works, though. You
do
steal
use
the
it.
best work, though. Yeah. Good stuff tonight. Appreciate the time, and we'll look forward to having you back on the desk soon.
Thanks for having me.
A couple of crisp Original 16s on the way, and for us and for you as well. Hopefully you enjoyed a few inside the Scotiabank Saddledome despite the final score, but plenty more home games to come here inside the Scotiabank Saddledome as this 8-game homestand rolls along. In fact, the next game comes your way on Saturday night. It's a date against the Carolina Hurricanes. They were undefeated until tonight as they fall to the Edmonton Oilers. So that'll be 2 teams looking to rebound on Saturday here at the Dome. Thanks for watching Flames Post Game Live, brought to you by Original 16.